What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are going to be taking our first look into the Jacksonville Jaguars as we get prepared for our week number 6 matchup. So let's get it started.
You know, I got to shout out DoseOfDion, man, because it was actually the first time I went live on YouTube. And, you know, guys don't know DoseOfDion. He put out a lot of good content for the Detroit Lions.
Welcome in, everybody, to another video. Glad you guys are here. And yes, it is hashtag Jags week. I'm super excited, man. I'm super excited. It's so great to be back to a normal week, man. Last week with the bye week, I couldn't handle it. I couldn't do it. I was like, oh my gosh, why is there no football this weekend? Well, we're back to football. And Sunday, the Lions are playing in arguably Matt Patricia's biggest game. I know it sounds crazy, but this could potentially decide Matt Patricia's future. I mean, think about this. This game on Sunday could potentially decide Matt Patricia's coaching career with the Detroit Lions. Think how crazy that is. This is the definition of a must-win game for the Detroit Lions. But in today's video, we are going to be taking our first look at this Jacksonville Jaguars team. But before we get into all of that, you guys got to know that as you guys can see, it says Flick Chat in the corner. If you guys watched my last video, you know as well. Basically, Flick Chat is an app kind of like social media, but for sports. And I want you guys to join my Detroit Lions fan group. It's super, super simple. All you have to do is click the link and then click join. And boom, you're in. You can download the app. That's all you do. That's really all you do. And we have polls, quizzes, questions, chats, and there's live streams. It's super fun. It's a very, very fun time. And you guys should definitely get involved. You're going to get to talk to a whole bunch of other Lions fans. You're going to get to answer quizzes, polls. It's just a really good time. And there's a lot of new features coming. So we're super excited for this app, Flick Chat. Now, join in because the first 100, well, not really the first 100, but once we hit 100 followers, I will be doing a giveaway of a DoseOfDion 2.0 shirt. Either a short sleeve or long sleeve. It's your option. Whoever wins, I'll give it up to one person. So first 100 followers, we are then doing a giveaway. So make sure you're inside the first 100 followers. Now, keep in mind, if it's like 102, I'll still do it. It's whenever I get to it. But once it's 100, you better be careful because if you're not in by the time I do the giveaway, you're going to miss out. So make sure you get in as soon as possible. I'm just warning you. We already have over 50 people, so you better get in there as quick as possible. Now, in today's video, it's the first look, right? We are going to do multiple videos on the Jacksonville Jaguars. But the reason I'm doing this is, well, one, because we don't have a game to talk about from, yesterday because we didn't play yesterday. But also, the Jacksonville Jaguars aren't a team that we know that well, right? They're on the AFC South. This isn't an NFC North opponent. Heck, this isn't even an opponent that we usually see. We rarely see the Jacksonville Jaguars. So it wouldn't surprise me, and honestly, me personally, I don't know really anything about the Jacksonville Jaguars. Before I start doing research, I pretty much don't know anything about Jacksonville. I don't watch Jacksonville's games. Okay, maybe you guys watched Jacksonville yesterday. I don't watch Jacksonville on a regular basis, and heck, I even missed yesterday's game because I wasn't home. So I don't really know anything about the Jaguars. You may not even be able to name 5 players on the Jaguars, and that's okay. So what we're doing in today's video is we're going to start kind of everything off, and we're going to kind of get like a broad view of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, I'm not going to make this boring, okay? It's not going to be, well, here's your depth chart and name every single player. I'm not doing that. I'm sorry. I'm not going to bore you with that. I may show some graphics, but I'm not going to bore you with that. However, this is kind of just the first look, okay? The first look behind enemy lines with the Jacksonville Jaguars and what we're looking like heading in this game. That way, when we dive into the film, you maybe have a little bit more background information. Now, if you know what you know about the Jaguars and you're on it, like, hey, shout out to you. Let me know in the comment section below some stuff, okay? But in today's video, man, this is our first look at this Jaguars team as we have 6 days to prepare for this game. Man, I'm excited already talking about it. Stop. It's only Monday. I need to calm down. I got a long time. All right, so let's hop into this game, man. The Jacksonville Jaguars are coming in 1-4. They have lost their last 4 games. And obviously, when you go on a lose streak like that, all of a sudden people are calling for your head coach's name. But the big problem here is they've lost the last 4. They actually started the season with a win over the Indianapolis Colts, which a lot of people were surprised by. I see so many videos on YouTube. I was wrong about the Jaguars. I was wrong about the Jaguars. And now that they've lost 4 straight, where's the I was right about the Jaguars? I don't know. But either way, man, the Jaguars, they struggled recently. However, the Jaguars aren't just like a normal bad team. It's like, okay, this team's just not good. No, they have a lot of very young talent. Not just talent in general, because, I think there's definitely some question marks with the team, and there's a lot to be proven, and there's a reason they're 1-4. But they have a lot of young talent. And you're probably thinking, okay, what does that mean? Well, I mean, they got a lot of players from the last couple of drafts that are pretty darn talented. And it's like, okay, these guys could turn into something. And we see it, here and there, like different flashes from certain players. And obviously they have Gardner Minshew as their quarterback, and he's in a prove-it year for himself alone. Like, hey, will I be the future of this team, or will they take a quarterback with their top pick because we're not going to have a great record? Like, what does my future look like? So he's trying to prove himself. Obviously, it's a huge year for him, and he hasn't been awful, but it doesn't seem like the Jaguars community can even decide whether or not he's the future or not at this point. So it's kind of all up in the air with Jacksonville. But they have a lot of young talent at certain positions, and we'll talk about that as we go through it, and you guys will see what I'm talking about. But they are a bad team, right? A lot of missed opportunities, kind of the things that, you know, bad teams are known for, kind of like us in our first couple of games. Anyways, let's speak on this Jacksonville Jaguars team, okay? So I'm going to touch on a few stats that I saw when I read through, just some of the key stats. All right, we're not going to go through every single stat. I mean, I wrote them all down, but we're not going to do that. Okay, that's boring. But I will touch on some of the key ones. First off, they score about 21.8 points per game. That's not very good. In today's NFL, it's just not that good. It's not completely awful, but it's not very good. It's not tops in the league, nowhere near that. 21.8, not terrible, but it's not very good. Last week against the Texans, they only scored 14. They missed a lot of opportunities, though. It should have been more than that. It should have been way more than that. But yes, they missed a lot of opportunities to put up some points. But what you can see from their first 5 games this season, against the Colts, 27. Against the Titans, 30 against the Titans. Against the Dolphins, okay, yeah, only 13. Against the Bengals, 25. Against the Texans, 14. So there's some flashes here and there about what this team can do, but like a lot of bad teams, it's just the inconsistencies. Defensively, they're allowing about 29 points per game, around there. Currently in 5 games, they've given up 141 points. Quick math. So that's not good. We know that's not really good. 141 points in 5 games. Keep in mind, some teams have only played 4, like us and the Packers and things like that, and also teams that have postponed games. But 141, obviously, if you're giving up about 7 more points in your scoring, you're probably not going to win a lot of football games. That's a problem. Now, some of the key stats offensively and defensively. First off, offensively, this is not a bad passing team. This team can pass the ball, and I think the receiver group is one of the most young, talented groups that they have on the roster. All right, listen to these names. All right, DJ Chark, Laviska Shenault, D.D. Westbrook, Keelan Cole. Those are some talented names. Like, I'm hearing those 4 receivers, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's not bad. You got a solid tight end, right? Tyler Eifert. There's not some bad names here in the receiving core. Those are some solid receivers, right? Especially Laviska Shenault, who's kind of played pretty well recently. Like, he's kind of did his thing. He's been pretty consistent. DJ Chark wasn't so great against Texans, was kind of quiet. But we know he made the Pro Bowl last year. Kenny Galladay should have too, but I guess that's not further here nor there. I mean, it's just something I'm pointing in. But we know DJ Chark was a Pro Bowl receiver, so they have some talent at that receiver group. It's like, okay, I could see how this could be kind of tough because of Minshew, you know, gets some time in the pocket and he makes some plays. Like, this is not bad. And the thing with Gardner Minshew is many people look at him as good, just not great. That's what the Jaguars community sees him as a player that's good. I just don't know if he's that guy. His team out of the gutter and win, it's really difficult to do that. But he doesn't seem to maybe have it, but he's a good quarterback that can get the job done, and he will show you flashes of like, oh snap, this is that guy. And that's why it's so difficult for Jaguars fans to really decide whether or not he's that dude. Passing, they're 10th in completion percentage, okay? 10th in completion percentage. They're 8th in yards, okay? They're 9th in passing touchdowns. You can see they can throw the ball a little bit, and they only have 4 interceptions on the year. Not bad at all. But here's the one stat I want to take away, is their yards per attempt is 18th in the league with 7.3. A lot of short passes, and sometimes that's their game plan. A lot of times it's really to help their defense, but a lot of short passes you will see this offense. And one of the biggest concerns that I see people bring up over and over with Gardner Minshew's strength, and this is coming from the Jaguars themselves, is, not the Jaguars team, but like the people that the media for Jacksonville, is his arm strength. A lot of concerns with his arm strength. And maybe not necessarily if he can throw it 60 yards, but how it comes out of his hand, right? If it really is popping out of his hand. We know Matthew Stafford's known for having one of the biggest arms when he's been in the league, but it's the popping out of his hand, like how quickly that ball comes out. And that's been one of the biggest concerns, is like maybe he's not taking enough shots because they're concerned with his arm strength, and that's a problem. So that's one thing that I would definitely bring up, and maybe that has a factor, and also trying to protect the rest of the team, just the game plan that they go with. So that's one of the major things I want to take away here, but they're 13th in the league in passer rating. Like, it's not a bad offense. He has weapons, and they also have a pretty solid run game when they go to it. James Robinson, their running back James Robinson, who I believe was undrafted, he's actually been pretty darn good. He's averaging, I think, 4.6 yards per carry, and coming into their last game against Houston, who was the worst rushing defense in the league, they only gave him like 13 carries. Like, it was nowhere near enough for how many he should be getting in the game. So a lot of play calling all of a sudden comes into question, right? When you lose games, questions come everywhere. But there's talent here. Like, there's young talent here. Minshew, wide receivers, solid tight end, good running back, young running back. You're looking at this, you're saying, man, there's pieces here for the future. But that's why it's called a rebuilding year, because they're built for the future. They trade away a lot of win-now talent for their future. And we know just a few years ago, they were in the AFC Championship game. So they've completely went a different direction, and they're completely trying to, overhaul the team. Here's the problem. They are 23rd in rushing attempts with only 107. You can see how that's a problem, right? Obviously, not being able to stay on the field can have a factor with that. but they're 10th in third down conversion percentage, and they're 12th in the league in red zone percentage. Now, last week, they made some mistakes, all right? They didn't finish out plays. They missed out on opportunities. And it wasn't just the offense. They didn't convert on a fourth down. I guess they tried to do some kind of trick play. They took Minshew off the field, which draws question to whether or not they believe in Minshew, right? Why would you not have your quarterback on the field? Why did they go do a trick play? It didn't work. Obviously, when things don't work, everybody can go off on it because hindsight's 20/20. If it worked, maybe you're thinking about it differently. They've also missed multiple field goals. Okay, they have Hauschka. I think they've had 5 kickers in 5 games. That's not a good thing. Okay, we know what it's like to not have a kicker. Hauschka missed a couple of field goals. That takes away opportunities. So even though they lost by 16 to Houston, the game probably should have been much closer than the score actually indicated. So you can see there's talent here. It's just the inconsistencies, the missed opportunities. And that's kind of the story of a lot of teams that maybe could have a better record. They just haven't been able to do it yet. Now, defensively, they're not very good. At least statistically, they're not very good, right? We've kind of already went through that. But where they really seem to struggle is against the pass. They are allowing the highest completion percentage in the NFL right now, 75.8. Heading into last week, I believe it was 77 even. That's not good. That's really not good. Also, 6.6 yards per play defensively, which is also last in the league. And another thing that I want to point out is they're giving up 8.8 yards per attempt passing, which is last in the league. And they're giving up the 31st worst pass rating, or the 31st best pass rating, right? Not good. Not good against the pass, at least statistically. And what I see here is the 8.8 yards per attempt sticks out to me. Because if you remember last year, the big thing about Stafford and Bevel was like Stafford's taking shots again. And again, I think this is another one of those games where the Lions are going to have to take shots. If a team is giving up the most yards per attempt, there's usually a reason for that. And when you have Kenny Galladay and Marvin, we haven't seen Marvin get going. We want to see these guys get going. You have a young secondary with a lot of, players that they're trying to kind of figure out. That's kind of 1 week here, next week not there. This is going to be a game where the Lions are probably going to take shots. We'll dive more into the game plan later. Blitzing, they don't blitz very often. They only blitz 16.7% of the time, which is 29th in the league. They do get some hurry percentage, which is 18th. They do get to the quarterback a little bit, but they don't blitz a lot. They're not a heavy blitzing team. I think back in 2017 when they were like the AFC Championship team, they're actually like the best defense from like only bringing 3 rushers, only bringing 3 players and still be good defensively. Like that's something that they've done. So against the Lions, if they're not going to blitz a ton, that's something to keep an eye out for because it could give Stafford more time in the pocket if you can hold up on that front line. So for the Detroit Lions, man, the pass defense, I would say, is probably their biggest weakness, at least when you look at stats, okay? Just broadly looking at stats, that's probably the biggest weakness. Now, they were missing a lot of players last week, a lot of talented players, kind of like their best players by level. I mean, they were missing some good guys. They were missing Josh Allen, which is, a solid player. They were also missing Myles Jack, and they're missing C.J. Henderson, their rookie cornerback, who was the 7th pick in the draft. Like, those are some big pieces to miss. But they have a lot of players in the back end. They're young. They're just new players, young players. They have Caleb Von Chasen, who really hasn't done much this year. I know some people weren't very happy with that when it comes to Jacksonville. Smoot had a good game. He kind of stepped it up with some, missing pieces. A young talent. And the concern with that is that they can show up because there's talent. It's just, will they show up, will they not show up? And just like us, they're desperate, right? Their coach is desperate. He doesn't want to get fired, and no one wants to get fired. So they're going to go out there and they're going to try to win a football game, especially after the way they lost when it should have been more competitive. And they've been competitive, right? They've made it a game with the Titans. Okay, now they get blown out by the Dolphins. How does that happen? It's because there's inconsistencies with this team. You just don't know what you're going to get. They forced 2 turnovers against the Houston Texans. They had a tip that was picked. And Sidney Jones, if you guys remember Sidney Jones, the former Eagle, he stepped into that role. So without C.J. Henderson, they let Sidney Jones get an opportunity. He was their player of the game. He was incredible. He had a pick. He only allowed 1 reception on 5 targets. It's just weird. It's just a lot of, moving pieces, a lot of here and there, hit and miss. Will they show up? Will they not show up? And that's what you're getting with Jacksonville. So you can't look at this team and say it's going to be a walk in the park because we know if we do that, that doesn't work. Arizona thought we were going to be a walk in the park, and we beat them, right? You can't ever look at it like that. I don't know if the Cardinals, players did, but the fans did a little bit, and it happens. I mean, some people thought our injuries last week for the Saints. We said it's going to be a breeze. We should win this game, and we didn't. You always got to come out and play tough, and you always got to be ready to go because it's teams like this that you're supposed to beat. And by the way, Lions are only favored by a very little bit, but it's teams like this that you're supposed to beat that you just don't know what you're going to get week by week. So this could potentially be a game where the Lions go out there and smack them. But it could also be a game where it's like, oh snap, this game's close. But it should be a game you win because, again, if you lose this game, you're not a playoff contender. A playoff contender doesn't lose to Jacksonville. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen, especially once you're 1-3. Like, I know the Lions haven't had the easiest start to the schedule, but you can't lose this game. This is a must-win for the Detroit Lions. Some of their strength is James Robinson, the young running back. But I have also heard that when Gardner Minshew has over 300 yards passing, they're maybe 0-5. That's not good. They're a big team that wants to set up the run, right? They want to have a very balanced offensive attack, but the problem is, man, just missed opportunities, just not finishing off of drives. Like I said, they have a young receiver core that's talented. Sidney Jones stepped up. They have some solid players back there, but you just don't know what you're going to get day in and day out, game in and game out. And we also have to keep an eye on those injuries to see who's healthy when it comes to that game. That'll be important. Wednesday is going to start back practice, and we'll start getting injury reports. But some of their weakness, man, it's inconsistencies. It's for Gardner Minshew, reading the defense. One play you see him and he's like looking through all his progressions. He finds a dot. It's like, great. The next play you see him, he's staring down one place. There's nothing there and he just throws it away, right? That's what you see from him. You just see, okay, looks good. No, he doesn't look good. And that's kind of the story of their team so far. And that's a little bit of the Lions story so far, right? It's a little bit of the Lions story, and that's been a big problem. But yeah, I think when you head into this game, it's a weird team. It's an interesting team, but there's definitely some talent on both sides of the football that you have to give out for. David Hamilton out of Ohio State, they brought him in. They have Keelan Chasen, both in the front seven, so they got those guys. The question is, will Miles Jack be back? This is a game where the Lions should win. I think, this is a game where they must win. It's not should, this is a must win. It's not just should, you must win this game because you can't afford to lose this game. Their cornerback group is kind of hit and miss sometimes, right? They had Trey, who stepped into a little bit of a bigger role because of injuries to CJ Henderson. Another thing about Jacksonville, it's not just that they're a young team. Sure, some of their newer players are young, but you also have a lot of new pieces, a lot of moving pieces from free agency, like Joe Schobert. I really like Joe in free agency out of Cleveland, but he ended up with the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is just his first year here. They have the cornerback out of Michigan State, who I don't even think has been active. And then when they had the injury to CJ Henderson, who again is another rookie, they had Claybrook step in, and he really didn't do too well. And we saw Brandon Cooks kind of go off, have maybe his best game so far this season. So with all these moving pieces, you just don't know what you're going to get. And I think that's what you see from a lot of teams that begin to rebuild until they can kind of figure out, and they're hoping that they can figure it out. There's just tons of question marks. And is that what we're seeing with the Detroit Lions a little bit? Maybe. And that's why I think this bye week was so important, because they really do need to gel together. I just think we see glimpses of how great this team can be, but we just don't see it on a consistent level. And that's the big problem. They just need to gel together. Hopefully the Lions can do it quickly because they need to. And this should be an opportunity to get that thing started with a win over Jacksonville. The big problem I see with them is penalties. They seem to have a lot of penalties offensively. They have 32 penalties, which is the 7th most. That's a problem. And again, that's inconsistencies, beating themselves. I've seen some big run plays and it's all of a sudden, comes back, flag holding. And it's like, dang, Jacksonville, like you're really killing yourself here, man. So I feel like this is a team, it just got really bright in here. This is a team that has talent, but it's a win. Like, this has to be a win for the Lions. If you're going to be the future here, Patricia, if this is what this is going to look like, if you're going to turn the season around, it starts in Jacksonville. And this is a game that you have to win. We'll dive more into the game plan later, but hopefully that gives you a little bit of an overview of the Jacksonville Jaguars. There's maybe some things to look out for. And then when we start diving into the scheme and game plan, all of a sudden we're ready to go. If you guys have any thoughts about Jacksonville that you want to put in the comment section below, do it. I'm definitely going to be reading. And also, again, join in Flick Chat. Thank you for watching, and I'm out. Are you kidding me right now? I had to put my helmet on for this one. Are you kidding? Look at this. Look at all these members. What? Yo, hey, shout out to all the members, man. Look how many All-Pro members there are. Like, literally, it's the whole screen, dog. This is crazy. The patrons, of course, the Hall of Fame members, man. Y'all got the gold color. It's kind of yellow, but it's supposed to be gold. Shout out to all the members, man. If you want to be a part of this, all you got to do is join the channel. But there are perks that come with it. Stay locked in the community tab if you are a member, because that's where a lot of information comes out. I appreciate all of you. What?